I'm 69 years old, and I'm going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. I did everything right, everything your parents told you to do, everything society said a responsible man should do. I followed the rules. I played it safe. I was careful, cautious, and sensible, and it nearly cost me my soul. Here's the thing. I spent 35 years of my life driving to a job I never loved, 2 hours each way. That's 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, for 35 years. You want to know the math? I was an accountant. I've done the math. That's 35,000 hours, sitting in traffic, listening to morning radio, watching taillights. 35,000 hours of my one and only life, just getting to a place I didn't want to be. My name is Dennis, and I want to tell you about the day I realized I had wasted the best years of my life being responsible. I grew up in a working-class family in Ohio. My father worked at a tire plant for 42 years. Same shift, same line, same parking spot. He came home every day smelling like rubber and sweat. He'd crack open a beer, sit in his chair, and fall asleep watching whatever game was on. My mother worked part-time at a grocery store and raised 4 kids. We didn't have much. We didn't go on vacations. We didn't eat at restaurants. But we were okay. And the message I got, loud and clear, was this. You don't chase dreams, Dennis. You chase security. Dreams are for rich kids. Dreams are for people who can afford to fail. You get a steady job, you stick with it, you don't complain, and you retire with a pension. That was the deal. So that's what I did. I was good at math in school. Not brilliant, not passionate about it, but good. My guidance counselor said, you should be an accountant. Steady work, good benefits, always need accountants. So I became an accountant. I got a job at a mid-sized manufacturing company right out of college. Good salary, health insurance, retirement plan, the whole responsible package. And I told myself this was success. Let me tell you about my commute. I lived in a suburb 45 miles from the office. That was the responsible choice. Good schools for the kids, safe neighborhood, affordable mortgage. The American dream right there in a 3-bedroom ranch with a 2-car garage. But the commute, my God, the commute. I would leave the house at 6:30 in the morning. I'd hit the highway by 6:40, and I'd sit there every single day, bumper to bumper, stop and go for 2 hours. I'd get to the office at 8:30, already exhausted, already defeated, and I hadn't even started working yet. Then I'd do it again at 5:30, another 2 hours. I'd walk through my front door at 7:30, sometimes 8. The kids would be doing homework. My wife, Carol, would have already eaten. She'd warm up a plate for me. I'd eat alone at the kitchen table, too tired to talk. And the next day, I'd do it all over again. For 35 years, there was this moment. This is the moment I think about now. It was a Tuesday. I remember it was a Tuesday because I had a meeting at 9 that I was dreading. Some audit issue. Doesn't matter now. I was stuck on the interstate, like always. Rain was coming down hard. The windshield wipers were going thwap, thwap, thwap. And the radio was playing some song from the 70s, some song I'd heard 1,000 times before. And I looked at my hands on the steering wheel. I was 52 years old. My knuckles were getting that older look, you know, a little swollen, a little weathered. And I thought, these are old man hands. When did I get old man hands? And then I looked at all the other cars around me, hundreds of them. Thousands. All these people, just like me, sitting in their little metal boxes, staring straight ahead, going somewhere they didn't want to go. And this thought hit me. It hit me so hard I had to pull over. What if this is it? What if this is my whole life? What if I die and this is what I spent my time doing? Sitting in traffic, going to meetings, filling out spreadsheets, worrying about audits. What if I never really lived at all? I want to tell you about fishing. When I was a kid, maybe 10 or 11, my grandfather took me fishing at this little lake in southern Ohio. It was nothing special, just a small lake surrounded by trees. We had this beat-up aluminum boat and a couple of cheap rods, but I remember sitting in that boat with my grandfather, not saying much, just watching the water, waiting for a bite, and I remember feeling something I've rarely felt since. Peace. Complete, total peace. Like everything in the world was exactly where it should be. Like I was exactly where I should be. I loved fishing. I loved everything about it. The quiet, the patience, the way time seemed to slow down. I loved learning about different lures, different techniques. I loved the anticipation of the cast, the thrill of the bite. And I used to dream, I'm talking about actual dreams I had as a young man, about opening a little fishing shop, nothing fancy, just a small store near a lake somewhere, selling tackle and bait, giving advice to weekend fishermen, leading guided trips on the water. That was my dream. You know what happened to that dream? I was responsible. I did the math. The failure rate for small businesses, the startup costs, the years without steady income, the risk to my family, the mortgage, the college funds, the retirement account. I did the math, and the math said no. So I stayed in accounting, and I never went fishing again. Not once in 35 years. I didn't have time. By the time I got home from work, I was too exhausted to do anything but eat dinner and go to sleep. I traded the lake for the highway. I traded peace for traffic. That was the trade I made, and I made it every single day for 35 years. Here's the lie I believed. Here's the lie I think most men believe, especially men of my generation. The lie is this: if you sacrifice now, you'll be rewarded later. If you put your head down and work hard and play it safe, and don't take risks, and do what you're supposed to do, then one day, one beautiful day in the future, you'll have earned the right to live. One day you'll retire, and then you can do all the things you wanted to do. Then you can go fishing. Then you can relax. Then you can enjoy your life. It's the biggest lie we tell ourselves. Because here's what they don't tell you. Here's what I had to learn the hard way. When that day finally comes, when you finally retire, when you finally have the time and the money, you might not know who you are anymore. I retired 3 years ago. I was 66. I had a nice pension, good savings. Carol and I were financially secure. We'd done everything right. And I remember my last day at work. People gave speeches. They gave me a watch, like I needed more reminders of time. I drove home that evening, and I thought, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for my whole life. Tomorrow I'm free. Tomorrow I can do whatever I want. You know what I did the next morning? I woke up at 5:30 because that's when I always woke up. And I lay there in bed staring at the ceiling, and I had absolutely no idea what to do with myself. For 35 years, someone else had told me where to be and what to do. My calendar was always full. My days were always structured. I hated it, but at least I knew who I was. I was Dennis, the accountant, Dennis, who worked at the manufacturing company. Dennis, who had the long commute. Take away the job, and who was I? I didn't know. I tried to go fishing. I went out and bought all new gear, top-of-the-line stuff, spent more money than I should have, probably, drove out to a lake a couple hours away, and you know what happened? Nothing. I felt nothing. I stood there on the shore with my rod, looking at the water, trying to feel that peace I'd felt with my grandfather. But it wasn't there. I was just an old man standing by a lake, and I didn't know what I was doing anymore. 57 years had passed since that day with my grandfather. 57 years, and the kid who loved fishing was gone. I'd killed him. I buried him under spreadsheets and conference calls and 2-hour commutes. I sat down on a rock and I cried. I'm not ashamed to say that. I sat there and I cried like a child. For the boy I used to be, for the dreams I never chased, for all those years I spent being responsible when I should have been living. Here's what I want you to understand. Playing it safe isn't safe. I know that sounds like a paradox, but hear me out. When you play it safe, you think you're protecting yourself. You think you're being smart. You're avoiding risk. You're not making any mistakes. But the risk you're taking is invisible. It doesn't show up on any spreadsheet. There's no column for it in any budget. The risk is that you'll wake up at 69 years old and realize you never really lived. You'll have the pension and the savings and the good credit score and absolutely no idea who you are. That's the risk. That's the cost of playing it safe. And let me tell you something else. All that security I was chasing, all that safety, it wasn't even that secure. The company I worked for, they got bought out 3 times. 3 times I had to worry about losing my job. 3 times I had to sit through meetings where they told us about restructuring and synergy and all those corporate words that mean some of you are getting fired. The pension I was counting on, they changed the terms twice. What I ended up with was less than half what they promised me when I started. The safe path wasn't even that safe, but I walked it anyway because I was too scared to try anything else. My wife, Carol, I need to talk about Carol. We've been married 44 years, and for most of those years I wasn't really there. I mean, I was physically present. I came home every night. I slept in the same bed, but I was so exhausted, so drained from the commute and the work that I had nothing left to give. Carol raised our 2 kids mostly by herself. She went to the parent-teacher conferences. She drove them to soccer practice. She helped with homework. She handled the emergencies, and she did it alone because her husband was sitting in traffic or staring at spreadsheets or falling asleep in front of the TV. A few years ago, after I retired, Carol and I were having dinner, and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Dennis, I've been waiting for you to come home for 40 years. That's when it hit me. I wasn't the only one who paid the price for my safe choices. My family paid it, too. Carol spent decades living with a ghost, a tired, absent, going through the motions ghost who called himself her husband. I asked her once if she ever thought about leaving me. She said yes, she thought about it a lot, especially in her 40s when she was lonely and I was never there. You know what kept her from leaving? She said she kept waiting for me to wake up. She kept hoping I'd realize what I was doing to myself, to us, to our marriage. She waited 40 years for me to wake up. If you're a young man sitting in a cubicle right now, I need you to listen to me. Not later, not when you finish this video. Right now. That dream you have, that thing you really want to do, that idea you keep pushing to the back of your mind, because it's not practical, because it's risky, because it might not work out? Do it! For the love of God, do it now. Don't wait until you've saved enough money. Don't wait until the kids are grown. Don't wait until you've put in your 20 years. Don't wait until you retire. Because I'm telling you, from the other side of life, from the place you think you're working toward, that when you get here, it might be too late. The person you are right now, the person who has dreams and energy and hope, that person might not exist anymore by the time you get to retirement. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Dennis, I have responsibilities. I have bills. I have a mortgage. I can't just quit my job and open a fishing shop. And you're right. I'm not saying to be reckless. I'm not saying to burn down your life. But I am saying this. Find a way. Start small. Start on the side. Start on weekends. Save a little money and take a class. Make a plan. Take one step, then another. Just don't let 40 years go by without moving at all. Because the cost of staying still is higher than you think. Here's what I've learned now that it's almost too late. The things you think matter don't matter. The corner office, the promotion, the raise, the performance review, the company car, the retirement account balance, the size of your house, the brand of your watch. None of it matters. Not a single bit of it. What matters is whether you felt alive. What matters is whether you did work that meant something to you. What matters is whether you were present for the people you love. What matters is embarrassingly simple. It's so simple we overlook it for our entire lives. Did you do what you loved? Did you love the people around you? Did you show up for your life? Or did you just commute through it? That's all that matters. I'm 69 years old. If I'm lucky, I might have another 15 years. Maybe 20 if I hit the genetic lottery. That sounds like a lot, until you remember that I spent 35 years commuting to a job I didn't love. 15 years feels like a weekend after that. But here's what I'm doing with the time I have left. I'm learning who I am. For the first time since I was a kid, I'm asking myself what I actually want. Not what I'm supposed to want, not what's responsible or practical, but what actually makes me feel alive. I bought a little boat. Nothing fancy, just a simple fishing boat. And I've been going out on the water, relearning how to fish. It's not the same as it was with my grandfather. It can't be. Too much time has passed, but there are moments when the water is still and the sun is hitting the trees just right, when I feel something close to peace, when I feel like maybe Dennis is still in there somewhere. Maybe he's not completely gone. And Carol and I, we're trying. We're really trying. We talk more now. We take walks together. We're learning how to be married without the job as an excuse. It's not easy. 44 years of habits are hard to break, but we're trying. If I could go back, if I could talk to 22-year-old Dennis, fresh out of college, about to accept that accounting job, I wouldn't tell him not to take the job. That's not realistic. The bills are real. The responsibilities are real. But I would tell him this: don't lose yourself. Don't let the job become your identity. Don't let the commute become your life. Don't let 40 years go by without doing something, anything that makes you feel alive. Find a way to get to the lake, even if it's only once a month, even if it's only for an hour. Keep the dream alive, even if you can't chase it yet. Don't bury it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Don't tell yourself that responsible people don't have dreams, because if you bury that dream deep enough, it will die, and a part of you will die with it. And you'll spend your retirement standing by a lake, wondering who you are and where you went wrong. So here's my final piece of advice, and I want you to really hear this. Quit waiting. Stop telling yourself someday. Someday is a trap. Someday is where dreams go to die. Start today, right now. Make a list of the things you actually want to do with your one and only life. Then pick one thing on that list and do something about it. Today. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. Call the person you've been meaning to call. Sign up for the class you've been putting off. Research the business you've been dreaming about. Write the first page of the book. Buy the fishing rod. Whatever it is, take one step, then take another. Keep moving, even if it's slow, even if it feels pointless, even if you're tired and scared and not sure it will work out, because the alternative is this: sitting in traffic for 35,000 hours, coming home exhausted every night, retiring to find out you don't know who you are, standing by a lake with expensive gear, feeling nothing. That's what playing it safe looks like. That's the cost. I'm Dennis. I'm 69 years old. I'm a retired accountant who spent 35 years commuting to a job I never loved, and I'm finally starting to live. It might be too late for me to open that fishing shop. It might be too late to become the person I wanted to be, but it's not too late for you. So do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Don't wait 40 years to wake up. The clock is ticking. And if this story made you feel something, if it made you think about your own life, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a friend who's stuck in a cubicle. Maybe it's a brother who's commuting 4 hours a day. Maybe it's yourself. Share it. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Because these conversations matter. They might be the difference between someone playing it safe forever and someone finally taking a chance on their life. Thank you for listening to An Old Man's Regrets. Now go do something about yours.